What's up, Aiden?
You got me?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you.
Is that
Yeah.
light kind of weird?
No, it's good.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the best video.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it just has to be your face, and that's about it.
Great.
It's nothing too serious going on here. Pretty formal.
All right.
I was gonna tell you if you want to put a polo, you can, but like,
Should I? I was thinking about it.
no, you're good. I mean, I got a sweatshirt on. This came
I'm
from.
wearing it's my bear sweatshirt.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. We're rolling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you want to jump into it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I'm
So
not.
yeah, coming from your experience from covering Mizzou football and now producing for ESPN, have you seen the tradition of college football evolve over the last several years?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been different ever since NIL as a start, and about 2 years ago, it really got going across the entire landscape of college football, starting with, at first it was by the state. States had to approve it, and now you see it pretty much everywhere. And, it went from the best athletes at certain schools, signing on with a local, like I know just from my experience at Missouri, our best athlete was signing on with a chip brand. And now it's basically moved into, all right, you want this quarterback, you got to find a million 1.5 somewhere in NIL uh, to get him to come to your school. And it's basically, as close to pro sports as it can be in the age of NIL right now.
And then, do you think conference realignment and the playoff expansion has helped or grown the game for college football, and what's made it special over the years?
I think conference realignment takes a lot of the nostalgia out of it for, any college football fan, whether you're a Big 12 fan and, you don't have those rivalry games you have anymore. I think, eventually we're moving in the direction where it's going to be two mega conferences eventually, just because, the only two real conferences that have benefited from any of this are the Big Ten and the SEC. You look at the Pac 12, that's essentially gone already. And then if you drop even below that, it's, nothing short of a mess. But to go back to the original question about the playoff, yeah, I think the 12-team playoff format helps college football fans, especially because, you have a group of 5 team that gets in. You have conference winners that get in. And it's more revenue, obviously, for the TV companies as well and the executive companies. But that revenue gets spread out amongst the conferences and amongst the teams in an age where you need the money to support and build your team, which is, there's positive and negatives, but I think, expanding to a 12-team format definitely is a positive.
Yep. And then sticking with conference realignment, I know you weren't there when Mizzou moved from the Big 12 to the SEC, but do you know of how that affected the school and some rivalries and some of the traditions that they had?
Yeah, I want to say that I believe it was
12,
2013,
I want to say somewhere around there.
2012. Okay, so
I
yeah,
think so.
somewhere around there. But just from my experience being there, graduating last year, when Mizzou left to go to the SEC in 2012, that was the end of basketball against Kansas every year. That was football against Oklahoma. And then you look at the negative sides and not having those matchups every year. Okay, great. Now Oklahoma's in the SEC. Play them for the first time last year, and it was instantly, it became an instant classic before the game even started. And then you get, your non-conference games against Kansas, where in, my past and Mizzou's past, they've gotten killed every year. And then last year they beat them as the number one team in the country. So just the fact that you're not seeing those teams as much that were original rivals and, going back to even the Big 8 and then the Big 12, now that you see them, sparingly, it makes those games a lot bigger.
Yeah, 100%. And then how do you think the transfer portal has changed the stories being told about college players, especially from a media perspective?
I think from a media perspective and just working in the industry the past few years, the portal and players that utilize it probably get more of a negative rep than a positive, just because you look at a guy like take John Mateer at Oklahoma, for example, and then coming from Washington State, and I believe he went somewhere before that. But it's like, oh, okay, these guys can't stay put at one school, so let's make fun of them because they can't find a fit anywhere else, where maybe they're just getting paid more money and it's a better fit with a different coach in a different system. We don't know the whole story. So in the media, probably a negative rep, but all in all, it's finding a good spot.
Yeah.
It's a very important meeting right now.
Oh, yeah.
Sam's interviewing me for a school project.
Hey, Bomber,
What's up?
I could ask him a question or two if he wants to. More the merrier.
Yeah.
And then going back to talking about the postseason, how do you think that has changed over the past few years? And do you think conference championships, especially for football, are losing their significance in this new era of college football?
Yeah, 100%. They're the conference championships alone, you're almost getting the benefit of the doubt if you make the game, no matter what you do in the game, especially for, Big Ten SEC. You get that extra game, and it doesn't matter if you win or get blown out by 30, because then, the now I can't think of it. The board of directors who's picking the 12-team playoff is, okay, they made it there. Barring a crazy, Florida State-esque injury, and I know that was before the college, before their league championship, you're probably still going to get in, especially now that there's 12 teams as compared to when Florida State was doing it with 4. But I think, although that they will still count for something, bowl games essentially mean nothing. And it's honestly, you see it with the opt-outs, you see it with coaches maybe leaving to take another job before the bowl games. It's just, if you think you have a future, whether it's at that school, in the NFL, or somewhere else, there's really not a ton of benefit to playing in those games, especially if it's, the Taco Bowl or whatever nonsense you might make.
The Duke Mayo Bowl.
Yeah, the Mayo Bowl, the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, all the good ones. But there's really no benefit. Yes, it's another good win, especially maybe for a team if you're at 9 wins and you really want to get to that double-digit win season, it matters then. But besides school revenue, if you're a player that thinks you have a solid future anywhere else, there's really no point in playing in the bowl games.
Yeah. And then as someone working in the sports media, do you feel like networks play in the role either preserving or accelerating the death of tradition in college football? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, you throw it. There we go. We back?
There we go. Yeah.
You want to just ask that again? Or I can.
Yeah. Or do you think the media or networks are kind of helping towards the cause of, trying to keep the traditions alive, or hurting it?
I think if you look across the entire country, they're definitely hurting it. TV deals essentially killed the Pac-12, and that's just one conference. And, I think last week there was a great matchup in Division II, and Reese Davis came out and said, we might go there for game day, and they end up not going there. So I don't know if it's necessarily benefiting anything or killing off anything, but tradition as a whole, TV networks, you still have game day, you still have your big noon game on Fox. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. And then from personal experience, have you noticed or seen a tradition die or kind of has lose its significance ever since this new era of college football that you wish stayed or was able to survive?
I don't know if it's necessarily tradition, but the bowl games, they mean nothing. It's you're playing not to get hurt. You're playing not to, there's even an argument too, if you have a stud freshman or sophomore that didn't get a lot of time, are you going to put them in the bowl game, or are you going to save them for next year? Or looking at it from the other way, is the coach using this bowl game as a way of playing those guys so they don't leave and take more money to go somewhere else. So, and that's just college football in general. And across the other sports, no, I don't think there's been any traditions that really died off.
And then looking ahead, what traditions do you hope college football can hold on to despite all the changes?
I can hold on to. Let's see.
Yeah, take your time.
I think just, and you see it this year with a lot of coaches leaving and going somewhere else. The role of a coach is changing, and I know some programs hired general managers or owners or whatever they want to call them, but
Yep.
now, it's not, okay, you're coming in and taking over this program. It's not, can you develop this quarterback to be the best he can be? It's all right, if you can't, how much money do you have in the offseason to go out and get a different one? So I think it's the role of coaching and how much these coaches are getting paid as a result of, okay, this is how much we have in NIL. And there's really no, the one thing that gets hurt the most, and this is kind of going back to your last question, but year to year, you're watching a college football team one year and then you watch them the next year. It's not, oh, this guy was a really, he was an up and comer as a freshman. I wonder what he's going to look like now. No. So there's really no.
What? Sorry, you froze there for a second. What did you say?
Where to cut out at?
You were talking about how from year to year. So and I see this a lot also. I feel like in college basketball of how you would follow a program, not a team.
Yeah.
From year, and that's kind of the last thing I've heard.
Yeah, you look at a 5-star freshman or a 4-star freshman that your team got, whether it's in football or basketball, and you want to see them develop and grow and become, a starter by their junior or senior year. That might not happen. If they're that highly touted of a prospect freshman year and they don't get the playing time, some other school is going to come calling and they're going to pay them more money and tell them, okay, you're starting day one. Whether that's true or not, it's just what happens. There's really no watching a team develop, in 4 years or even 2 years.
Yeah. Then do you think is there anything else that you've kind of seen or, hasn't got that much attention about this new era of college sports?
I really don't know what's going to happen to some of the smaller conferences. Like you look at, I don't know, take the MAC for example, NIU already left. If you can't keep NIU in the MAC, how's the conference itself going to survive? And all of these, there's really, especially in the smaller conferences, there's going to be no rivalries because if one school eventually gets enough money, they're going to get an offer from this conference to do whatever. And I think, like I said earlier, I think eventually we're moving towards some sort of mega conference nonsense. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think it's kind of going to be a mess eventually.
The fear of the unknown.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, NIL, not even just conferences, but, can my team succeed next year? Do we have $1.5 million to pay a quarterback to come in? And then you look at recruiting as well. This is more basketball than football, but I saw today, Mizzou had the number 2 recruiting class in the country coming in, and, today's National Signing Day or whatever. They're, they don't play freshman year. They're just going to leave and go take money somewhere else. So it puts more pressure on the coaches to, really convince these guys. And do you have the money to pay them?
All right. I think we've got enough. I appreciate you for your time.
Yeah.